Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show, where we celebrate the innovators driving change in the education industry. At Edison OS, we've worked with over 500 knowledge entrepreneurs to turn their edtech ideas into profitable businesses. Hi, Nicole. Good morning. Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show, and thank you so much for taking time out to join me on this podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure, Nicole. Nicole, before I start asking you questions about teaching and online infrastructure and stuff like that, I'd love for you to walk us through, your journey up until here, and what led you to kind of take up whatever you're doing now with respect to the online teaching community and stuff.
Amazing. Yeah, I can definitely do that. So I come from the trenches of the secondary classroom. So I was a classroom teacher for 6 years. Prior to that, I was working inadvertently in education as well, doing my undergrad and when I studied abroad. And I wasn't a teaching major by any means. I actually kind of fell into teaching. And so once I kind of got burnt out in the classroom, I started training other teachers. And as I did that, I realized, so many of us have high expectations for how we teach children, but we have such low expectations for how we teach adults. And
Right.
I remember sitting in professional development and just being bored to tears. And I was like, how can you tell me to be to engage my 15-year-olds, but I'm literally falling asleep when you're trying to teach me? So,
Right.
Anyway, so I started training teachers, developed a passion for that, and then completely left education. And I did that so I could travel the world. And as I traveled the world, I discovered the pandemic happened. And then, and I discovered that I was surrounded by all these incredible entrepreneurs and coaches who were creating courses.
Right.
And they were doing it in the same format that the boring professional development took on. And I was like, no, I can't let this happen. So then I stepped into this role of being an education consultant and coach, specifically helping entrepreneurs build courses that actually get results for their clients.
Great. So you said, you spent 6 years as a classroom teacher, right? And did the whole virus have an impact? The whole lockdown or the whole period of that coronavirus that I think the whole planet underwent. Did that play a role in any way for you to kind of transition from a classroom teacher to someone who's doing things online?
It actually, it didn't directly, it didn't get me out of the classroom. I actually chose to leave the classroom in 2019 after the school year ended. And then I traveled the world for 8 months. And I was going to actually try to break into marketing. And I found a job in New Zealand. I had everything set up. And I was in Bali at the time when New Zealand shut their borders. And so I was kind of stranded, if you will, in Indonesia. And so that motivated me. I was like, okay, I got to find something that works for me. And that's when this education consulting came up. So in a way, it forced me into building my own business, which I probably would have never done if the pandemic never happened.
Okay, great. So while the coronavirus broke out, you were in Indonesia.
Yes, I was in Bali.
Wow, that's somewhere around 2020 March, right?
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Okay. So, okay, great. That must have been like, I mean, when I say great, it's not in a positive way, right? It's about the the situation is like extraordinary. It's not a normal situation, because I think pandemic is a time, it's for anybody, it's better to be close to home, and definitely not for somebody from the Western Hemisphere to be, stranded in the Eastern Hemisphere of all the places. And so, and then you're saying, that kind of forced you to do things while you were there, while you were stuck and stuff like that. So could you walk us through those initial days? What was actually going on in your mind? Because the reason I'm asking you this question is, everybody's got starting problem. A lot of them, I mean, I don't want to say everybody, a lot of us have got starting problem. We've got grand ideas and stuff like that, but when it comes to taking the first step, we are stuck. So how did you deal with that, and how did you kind of cross that and see yourself here now?
Yeah. So, I first off, I want to say that I didn't think of this idea of
Right.
stepping into consulting by myself. It actually came from a friend. Um, and she was like, "Hey, all these coaches and entrepreneurs. Like, why haven't you been helping them? This is a great idea." And so I think it took someone else noticing my skills and my assets, and my experience, to really be like, okay, this is a consideration. And I remember that was probably like October of 2020,
Right.
and I set out to start building my business, and I had no idea where to start. Everybody that I knew who was an entrepreneur, they were just talking about their business. So I was like, okay, I could do that. I could talk to people. And so that's what I did for a few months. And then January of 2021, I got my first client, and it's all been, I wouldn't say downhill from there, but just working with more and more clients. So I think the biggest barrier was just being patient and trusting that process. That all the seeds that you plant, all the work that you put in, doesn't necessarily translate to new clients or income immediately. It's all about watering those seeds, having faith that they will grow into that giant tree, that vision that you see for your business and yourself.
Right. uh, I heard you say, in 2021 January, you found your first client. And did you say downhill from there?
Yeah. Yeah. So as in like the effort, once you get that first client, you're like, okay, I got this, right? And it doesn't get necessarily easier, but it's definitely not harder. The first step is always the hardest.
Right.
Um, so that's why I said it's downhill, but not really. It's more like a plateau in some ways after that.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Uphill, maybe. But yeah, I think you probably said downhill from a point of view that, you had to do a lot of work. And then, from a perspective where it got challenging for you to kind of figure out stuff that you have to do. But another one of the things that we touched upon while we've spoken is first client, right? For anybody who's starting out on their own, one of the biggest milestones is landing your first client. So, how did that go about? Was it by chance, or did you have a proper plan, and then you got your first client? Because the first time, the biggest difficulty is having to show them what you've done in the past, while you've not really done anything for somebody else for you to show, right? You don't even have a testimonial. So how do you get them to trust you, to kind of give that task to you, even if they're not going to pay you? Let's keep that aside for now.
Yeah. I think it's knowing who you want to work with, what they value, and how that aligns with what you can provide. So for me, the essence of who I am is I love learning. And I want to make sure that everybody else has an incredible learning experience, no matter what space they're in. And,
Right.
that's how I believe that's how I landed my first client, is my passion, talking about what I do, but also sitting and listening and asking questions and figuring out, oh, there's an alignment here. my very first client, Jamie, he's passionate about helping people. And so when he was talking about building a course, of course he wants to make sure that the course is helping people. He doesn't want them to just buy it and then fall off, which happens with majority of courses, right? 10% completion rates on average. That's absolutely insane. So that
Right.
resonated. And so I think just staying true to that is how you land your first dream client.
Got it, Nicole. So this happened by someone referring you. Was Jamie a friend of friend, or how did you exactly find Jamie? Like if you can talk through the nitty gritties, like were you doing reels on social media and then he stumbled upon your content? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. So actually, I met him in person. So I met him at the gym.
Oh,
Um,
great. Okay.
yeah, and I that's actually one of the most powerful things um, in my business. Even though I work primarily online with my clients,
Right.
meeting people in community spaces that share the same values as me um, and as my business has been astronomical. So and I should also mention I am a CrossFitter, so that community is even
Okay.
more tight knit. Um, and
Right.
so you just get into conversations, and that's how Jamie and I met, and he was intrigued by what I did, and then it just went from there.
This is great. An idea I just got. I was totally, open-minded. I had no idea, how what would your approach have been to get Jamie. But then, people who are listening and probably people who are, thinking about not creating courses but helping people who are creating courses. The moment Nicole said gym, I lurk around on Twitter and on Instagram as well. And the moment you said gym, I thought of all those people who talk about weight loss and they all have their courses, right? So I think gym is like a very obvious place. If people are really looking for course creators, I think in the health industry domain, probably gyms could be one place, and all these health retreats and all of those things. So what I got so far from you, Nicole, is that easier way is social media can come later, but beginning just go into these places in person, because nothing ever impacts a conversation like it does when you do it in person.
Yeah, very true. And I mean, it's moral of the story. It's to be involved, right? And
Right.
you never know what a small conversation or a small act of kindness will do. So even if someone isn't directly interested in your services, they're going to remember you and what you stand for, and they're going to recommend you to a friend. And that's actually how my business has grown is by referrals. I'm 2 years in, and I launched the website and I'm already redoing it like 3 months ago. Like,
Right.
I didn't need the website because it wasn't necessary. People were talking about what I did.
Right. Great. So, Nicole, before we go any further, can you explain to us, elaborate a little bit on us about what is it that you exactly do when you say you're a teacher trainer consultant? Because it's a very broad term, right? But then, a lot of things come under it. Please feel free to talk about it in as much depth as you want.
Yeah. So, as an education consultant and coach, I help entrepreneurs and coaches build premium courses that can increase their income and their impact. And something that all solopreneurs that I meet desire is more time. And that's what courses can bring to their business. And they don't necessarily have the capacity to hire a team of instructional designers to create their course. So I work in a very intimate setting to ensure that their courses are engaging and going to sell again and again and again and create results for the clients.
Got it. So, Nicole, when you say that, you make sure that their courses are engaging and all the other things. So there are two things, right? What I understand, from whatever you said, is there are two things to creating course. One is the content, that your expertise about a particular topic. But I think where you come into play is how that is presented to people, or how that is kind of structured, and the method in which it is transmitted to people is what matters, is also something that matters. So if you have to kind of split it in percentages, okay, what, this is how much weightage your expertise needs, and this is how much weightage you need to give to the way it's transmitted to the people. So what would it be? Would it be like 50-50, or are you going to surprise me here?
Oh, this is so interesting. I've never thought of it in terms of weight. Um, I've thought of it in terms of investment. Um,
Sure.
so, I mean, on my end, if people are investing a huge chunk of time and money,
Right.
then the delivery is probably like 75 to 80%,
Wow. Okay.
in my opinion, as a teacher, right?
Right.
Um, if you're not investing any money or very little time, so for example, if you're going to YouTube or you're on Instagram or scrolling through TikTok,
Right.
the delivery doesn't matter as much. It's just going to be purely focused on the content. I mean,
Okay.
delivery is going to be entertaining, right?
Right.
And
Right.
that's what's going to get more views, but I think it's more of an even spread, like 50-50. Yeah, but you don't, I mean, this is the reason I mentioned this before. Course completion rates are an average of 10% for courses.
Right. Right.
The content is not the problem, because the content, everybody can Google content. There's no new content. Um, there's
Right.
only new ways of delivering it. And if you deliver it well, then that's when you get increased completion rates. And that's when learners get results.
Right. Okay. Got it. So you say, when it comes to creating content on social media handles like TikTok or Instagram, you're saying it could be 50-50, because the delivery is anyway going to be entertaining and content is what's going to matter. But when it comes to creating courses, you're saying the delivery is going to be somewhere about 75-80%. Your content is just 20%. As you said, there's content already. You don't have to go create your original content. So when you talk about delivery, there is so much to it, right?
Mhm.
There is, let's say, on a very broad level, there's the audio aspect of it, there's a video aspect of it, and then the visual aspect of it. The reason I'm talking about video and visual separately is because video, I'm assuming we're talking about the person who's being, who's going to be delivering it. And then the visuals are about, it could be graphics. So, there's again so many types. It could be whiteboard animation, or it could be, real-time animation, so much of it, right? So when there is so much of choice out there, right? How do you kind of help a client zero down on, okay, what's the right method for a particular course creator? Does it depend on the content, or can you please talk through this?
Yeah. So content is what people default to a lot of times, but really what matters the most is your dream learner. Or because I work with a lot of coaches and entrepreneurs, they're dream clients. So knowing who that person is inside and out is what is
Hmm.
going to shape your entire course and how you deliver it. What content you include, what content you leave out, the pacing, whether you
Right.
slides or animations, like it, and it's very different. So there's a client that I've been working with, and she actually she's going to be working with both parents, mothers, and their daughters. And so we have to know what type of learner and person the mother is, and we have to know what type of learner and person the daughter is. And so both of these feed into this concept of not only like delivery, but also support. How much support do you give, and in what types and what formats?
You mean to say, in addition to the courses that you're offering that are going to be recorded, you're also going to be supplementing it with your time as a course creator. So,
Yeah, sometimes that's definitely the case. I think there's community and connection is instrumental to learning.
right,
No matter what, we've been taught in school, we have to learn in connection with others, whether that's
right,
other learners or a teacher or a mentor. Um, and so every single course should facilitate that, whether that's a live group call or offering office hours just on maybe a Slack channel or doing a question and answer session. Like these are extremely powerful tools. And that's what's going to help learners when they get stuck, when they're unmotivated. It's going to motivate them to come back, because I'm not just coming back for me, I'm coming back for my fellow learners. I'm coming back because I know that my teacher and my course creator cares. That's what keeps people going, not just the content. And this is why delivery is so incredibly important, because it keeps people coming back.
great. Nicole, I didn't originally have this question, but after we've spoken so much, I have this question now because you said there are different types of learners, and it depends upon what kind of learner the course creator is creating the course for. Now, I want to ask you, who are the kind of course creators that you are most willingly to work with? And who are those different kind of course creators from your point of view, from 2 years of your working in this domain?
Oh my gosh. So like, who is my favorite person to work with, or who do I normally work with?
No, the type of course creator.
Oh,
Okay, okay. Let me give you an example. Having been a wannabe creator myself,
yeah.
I've always, let's say, um, sometimes I think, you know what, don't bother about what the delivery is like. Just get your product out there, do a
Mm.
dirty job and at least get it out there. That's a good first step. And sometimes, you've got a bunch of obstacles when you're looking to create that great stuff. You may not have the subscription for a certain tool, or you may not have a certain camera or a certain thing like that. Because of that, you just kind of have a limitation on which you'd create a course. And then, there are other course creators, who'll take as much as it takes to kind of make sure they get the kind of output that they want. But that doesn't mean to say, that's the right way. That's, without any research, it may not even need so much time. But then, there's a right balance, right? I'm just giving you an example. And then there are some people who just take a whiteboard, they just have a marker, they stand in front of a marker, write it, and then they make a course out of it. So, yeah, I don't know if it helps the type of course creators that I described, but you can obviously add to the list, and then probably share with me who's your dream type of course creator.
Oh, okay. I I want to address something first before I go
Sure.
into dream course creator, because I love that you pointed out something that I tend to think is a very small part of course creation, and
Right,
that's the polished video editing and like just really thinking through like what it looks like.
right.
And when I think of delivery, I'm not thinking of the polished video.
Mm, got it.
I'm thinking about the order in which the content is organized and designed.
Right,
I'm
right,
thinking about pacing of learning. I'm thinking about support and community. I'm
right,
thinking about what activities are you asking them to do once you teach them content. That
right.
is all about, that's teaching delivery in my head. Um,
Actually,
and
thank you for clarifying that, because my next question was going to be that, you know what, it's so contradictory because you spoke so much about delivery, and then right now you're talking. Okay, and great. Yeah,
yeah, it's just, it's teaching delivery. That's very, very different from like this polished business thing.
right,
I would, I, like, I record my courses on Canva with my face in the corner. Like,
right,
I don't have a fancy setup behind me. Like, it's about the essence of who I am as a teacher. and
Right.
ensuring that that delivery is what reaches learners. And learners aren't paying for polished videos, they're paying for well delivered and well taught content.
Right. Right.
So, um, but
Great.
I, so I would say if I'm thinking about like the course creators that I love working with,
Yeah.
it's really the people who are passionate about what they do and ensuring that people do get results, that they don't drop off, um, and they that this comes off in all aspects of their business. They care, and so a lot of times they've failed a lot of ways, um, whether that's launching a course before and then absolutely flopping, or
Right.
building businesses. Almost all of my clients have had multiple businesses in different areas.
Right.
So I think I really love working with these people who are passionate and just failure. They fail constantly, which encourages them to get up and try again. Um, but on the learning side, like the way that they learn and the way that they teach, they're all of them are varied. I'm working with a client now who is very visual. She needs to write and doodle everything, um, which can
Okay.
be challenging when you're working with someone online. But I make it work, right? Because that's who she
Right.
is. Whereas another client is she loves lists, and so I have to um, help her be more concise instead of writing pages and pages of lists and text. So they're all
Right.
different.
Got it. Probably I also, asked you that question because you spoke so much about delivery. I was wondering, okay, Nicole's gonna first kind of have a discovery call and then figure out, hey, what's your mode of delivery? And you know what I mean. But now, probably another aspect is, do you care about what's their ticket size gonna be like? What's the price they're gonna put out for each of their courses? All those things doesn't matter to you, for you to be able to decide whether they're going to come on in as your client or not.
It's often not. It doesn't matter in entry to working
Right,
with me. That's
right,
something that we talk about
right,
within my one-to-one container.
right,
So, and that's purely off of the back of who is their dream client, what is the value that they're offering, and the sweet spot of what's going to motivate people to show up. Because no matter how much I want to say money doesn't matter, it
right,
does. It does correlate. If you buy something for a cheap price, you might forget that you have it. But if you buy something for a price that's like, that's a stretch, you're more likely to show up, right?
right, right.
So, but that doesn't bar people from working with me, whether they're charging dollars for a master class or £3,000 for a course.
Got it, Nicole. Nicole, I'll take that. You've been doing this for, let's say, a couple of years now, right? And one of the things that people tend to move towards is kind of focus and narrow down into a niche when they start, where when they're especially doing a servicing sort of a type, when you're like selling your time, and then your expertise with people, because with time you're going to become expert with something that you do repeatedly over and over again. So as a consultant, uh, have you seen a pattern when it comes to the domain in which your clients belong to? Say for example, the first client, Jamie, you said you met him at a gym, so he's probably from the fitness industry or the health industry. So is there a pattern like that, or what's the spectrum of the domains that your clients come from, and how does it impact your business?
Yeah. So, um, a lot of my clients are business coaches,
Right,
some type, but they really range. I get a lot of holistic health practitioners. So
Right.
I've worked with Reiki masters. I'm working with a feminine wellness coach
Right.
right now, um, influencer coaches, crypto experts, forex experts. So it's super varied, but all of the people that I work with are heart centric and truly care about the impact that they have, in addition
Right.
to bringing in more income for their business.
Got it. And Nicole, what's the model in which you work with these people? Like, is it about a set amount of hours that you commit with them, or is it about, or is it based on the action that you complete at the end of your engagement, or is it a continuous membership sort of a thing? Can you throw some light on that, your model especially?
Sure, yeah. So my one-to-one coaching container is 3 months long, 10 sessions, and we design it very specifically to build the course that my client wants to create. So
Right.
a lot of times that will start with the dream client. Actually, all of the time, not a lot of times, it will start with the dream client,
Right.
um, and then we build out from that dream client a delivery plan. So we talk about platforms, we talk about pricing, we talk about um, modality and format. So videos and workbooks and quizzes, onboarding surveys, feedback surveys, all that fun stuff.
Right.
And then we start to get into the nitty gritty of designing. Um, we uh, design the course map, the course goals, and then we use best practices of instructional design, and we work backwards from there. And that's the majority of my work with my clients, is diving into the things that they wouldn't have if they would have worked with someone else. It's looking at each and every lesson and being purposeful. What are the outcomes? How do you move through the teaching? What application activities do you have? Are people going to be engaged in this, or are they going to be bored? And what community elements do you need to add in to support them?
Got it. Now, would it be correct, would it be accurate if I summarize the work you do like this? So, what Nicole does is Nicole works with people, solopreneurs, who've got some knowledge to offer to the world, and they come with their expertise in any form. But then, Nicole works with them at that point, and then helps them organize and structure and create content up until the point of them launching the course. Would that be accurate, Nicole?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Okay, so Nicole, one of the things that I've observed on social media is people talking about just launching a course, right? There are experts helping people out there just to launch the course rightly. Forget about all the other things that we do before launching the course. Let's say you have your course ready, they talk only about launching the course. Now, since you're not the person who's just talking about launching a course, right? You're talking about content delivery, which involves so many other things. It's not even about the polishedness, which I thought it was initially. So, what do you think about how important is that launching aspect?
Well, I mean, I think it's super important because you want people on the other end to actually be learning from you. Um, but I
Right.
think that oftentimes people overcomplicate launching,
Okay.
especially when they're
Okay.
launching for the first time. And
Hmm.
a, what I would call a beta course, when you run through
Okay.
your course for the first time with learners, you don't need very many people. And you
Right.
need, I mean, depending on how big your audience is and how many
Hmm.
perhaps one-to-one clients you're working with, as low as five
Right.
people could be extremely powerful in your initial launch, because you're able to
Right.
get intimate and in-depth feedback from those five people. Now,
Right.
when it comes to relaunching, the idea would be that you're already confident in your product because you've gotten feedback and you've made changes in the learning experience that you know are going to help your dream client achieve results. So launching that should be easier because you know that it works, right? And
Right.
that's when launch experts come in and say, okay, this is how many emails you should send out. These are the freebies. This is the funnel, da 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 da. Because you have a product that you know is viable and is going to sell and achieve results, period.
Right. Right.
So
Great.
those are
So, great, great. So, Nicole, now obviously, right, there are, if a course creator needs help, more often than not, it's my assumption, please correct me if I'm wrong, because you must be definitely knowing better. The most toughest period for somebody to be on their own and not figure out things except for the expertise that they have on a subject is all the other things, right? Do you are most of your clients first time course creators, or you have equal distribution between first time course creators and people who've already created courses, but then who, let's say, who's creating it for the fifth, sixth time, even, do they also seek out help in this matter?
so majority of my clients are first time course creators. I have worked with course creators who've built courses in the past, but they flopped. And they can't figure out why. But oftentimes those courses are like pushed to the back of their business and they don't revisit them. They want to create a brand new product. Um, and I've done a few course audits of people who
Right.
currently have courses. Um, but oftentimes, if their course is already selling, then they don't pay attention to the other metrics. So a lot
Right.
of times sales metrics are vanity metrics.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about the
Right.
sound in the background. um,
No problem. The thing about this platform is the live streaming is going to be probably a little less quality, but the actual recording, the recorded version is going to be very high quality stuff. So you don't have to worry about it.
okay, good.
I'm actually not able to see your video now, but in the recording version, your video is going to be crystal clear, is what I believe. Yeah. I've
Oh,
had this experience a couple of times before. Yeah.
okay, cool. Um, oh crap, what were we talking about?
No, we were talking about, who do you mostly work with? And then, the last point you made was about course creators not giving importance to the sales metrics. They think they are like vanity metrics and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. So oftentimes course sales is what people push a lot because of course they want to sell their course, they want to increase their
Right,
income. But the problem is just like on Instagram, vanity metrics can be categorized as likes and things that you can see from the
right,
outside views. But there's more in-depth data that you can find. So on Instagram, we're looking at how many shares, how many saves. We're looking at invisible influence, right? Of, this person mentioned this product. I'm going to go check it out. And these are things that we can't sometimes measure. With courses, one of the biggest and most important metrics is course completion, and we see that
right,
through testimonials and referrals. So we can measure, have they completed the course through data, but referrals sometimes we can't unless you have a referral system or affiliate codes. We can't determine that, right? And those are the things that we should be paying attention to because that's what's going to scale your business and make it sustainable over time. That's what's going to make your course sustainable over time and
Right.
not flop after an initial launch, or you have to keep on putting energy into every single launch. It should be on autopilot because your course is so good, people can't stop talking about it.
Got it. Nicole, another thing about first time course creators is, they probably do not have any audience to engage with. Let's assume, they've got literally zero audience, but they have a beautiful course they've created. So, what's the starting point for them, according to you?
Offer help. I literally I just polled my audience yesterday about what they need more
Okay.
of in their business,
Right. Right.
um, and they said the options were um, more leads, more
Right.
accountability, and scaling. And majority
Right.
of people said more leads. And really what it's about is helping people understand what you do by actually doing. So every opportunity that you get, you step into that space and be like, hey, as an education coach, I think I can help you with this. Would you like some help? I do this all the time with my friends, right? So I'm really good at mapping out ideas. And so many of my friends who've started new businesses, I ask them, hey, can I help you with this? This is part of what I do in my business.
Right.
And
Right.
almost always they say yes. And so them understanding, them letting me help them for free, right? They have a better
Right.
understanding of what I do. And so the next time that someone talks to them about course creation or starting a new business, they're like, "Hey, you should talk to Nicole. I'll connect you." And that's how you build a community. So even if you have 0 followers, right? That doesn't matter. You know 5 people. You know 10 people. And as long as you're talking about what you're doing and offering help, people will start to notice, know what you do, and then actually go to you to ask for help.
Interesting. So you're looking at course creators or people who are out there to help people with some topic or some problem. That's what eventually turns around into a course. So
Mhm.
to all the course creators out there who might be listening to this is what you're saying, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong, or please add if I'm missing out something. So, as a course creator, if you're starting off from scratch, 0 followers and stuff like that, you go and probably look for people who are facing problems in the domain that you're creating a course in, and then offer to help them, and maybe help them for free, and maybe give your course away for a very throwaway price. As it could probably they could be your first endorses or something like that. They could probably recommend your course to somebody else. So that's, you're saying that could be a good starting point. Now, Nicole, is this only for people who probably are not looking at paid marketing, like paid ads on social media, or is it irrespective of people, you're doing paid marketing or not? This is a good way to start off.
I think that this is a good way to start off
Okay.
regardless. Yeah, I think this is how you build a business is word of mouth. It's the most powerful tool in marketing, and also we tend to underutilize it in this day and age because we're so focused on social media. But at the end of the day, this is if we think about why influencers have so much influence, it's because it's about word of mouth. It's
Right.
about because we trust them because we built a relationship with them by following them, and we know who they are and how they live their lives. Like that is the new wave of word of mouth. And if you're not already an influencer, then you use the old school way of word of mouth because it still works. Right?
Right. Got it.
um Sorry, can you repeat your question again?
No, I think you answered my question actually. So my question was this, right? Or probably, let me paraphrase my question here, because what you said so far did obviously, address its own point. But let me ask you the difference, or how much of a split there must be between organic marketing and probably, paid marketing.
Yeah.
And for people who start off at zero, is will paid marketing actually help or not?
I mean, I think that paid marketing could always help, but you have to be marketing the right things. From all the business
Right,
coaches that I've worked with, they have
right,
always said that you should be marketing something that's further up on the funnel, at the top of the funnel, something that is free and high value, that marketing your actual course doesn't work very well unless you already have influence of some kind. So an Amy
got it.
Porterfield paying for marketing is very, very different from someone who has zero following.
Right. Can you, kind of give an example to drive this a little, further,
Sure.
please? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Let's take an example of an Amy Porterfield, and let's take an example of somebody who's, who's not known at all, who's just coming into the market. They've got a great content, but how would the marketing vary between the two of them?
Sure. So Amy Porterfield, she might advertise her digital course academy, DCA. Um,
Right.
because she is already a well-known name in the course creation industry,
Right.
people already give her authority. And so the people that,
Right.
if she's advertising for DCA specifically, people are going to click on that ad because they trust her, right?
Right. Right.
And as a result,
Yes.
they're going to trust whatever product she provides. On the flip side, you take someone who doesn't have that much authority or influence, or
Right.
recognition, I would say. They're not like a household name in that industry. If you're advertising, they're not going to click on an ad because of your name.
Yeah.
They're going to click on the ad because it helps them, whatever product you're advertising is helping them solve a problem. And they
Right.
want access to the answers to help solve their problem.
Right. Right.
So if they have to, once you click on that ad, if they have to pay, it has to be enticing enough for them to pay. But it's really easy for them to say, oh, I clicked on this ad and it's for free. Sweet, I'll give my email. Give me the answers that I want and need.
Got it. Got it.
And then you nurture that relationship and that community connection, coming back to connection again. You offer them more free education. You offer them opportunities to work with you and to show them what you do and how you do it. And then you sell to them. And
Got it. Got it.
this is how Amy Porterfield built her business, right? And this is how Tony Robbins built his business, and so many more successful people in the entrepreneurial and coaching space.
Got it. So, for people, who are listening in, and, who are probably just starting off trying to sell a course, their first course, I think the key here is to not sell your course, but then, sell some, not sell, give out some value, not in exchange for money, but in exchange for someone's time or someone's email, so that, you get that extra time to prove, to show it to them why you're probably worth some amount of money if they go ahead and decide to buy your course. And Nicole, there's another thing that I've come across, especially for people who sell courses. This is something that I come across very often. They say sometimes you just have to give away all your content for free, and maybe charge people to apply the content to solve their problem. Um, is this something that you employ, or do you where do you think this can be applied well, or do you even think this is feasible?
Oh, I have a lot of opinions about this.
Okay,
You sell the what, or you give the what for free, and then you sell the how. I completely disagree with this. And
great.
this
Yeah,
this is founded in what I've learned from the incredible entrepreneurs that I've worked with and that I'm friends with.
right,
Um, so I've said multiple times, in order to get people in your community and to get them to know what you do and how you do it, to give away, right? To
right,
sit there and offer your help. And it's the same concept when we formalize our business,
right,
when we are trying to um, sell a course. Um, we want to give the what and the how, but the amount of it that we give is smaller, because you can't I I absolutely hate the webinars that information dump. And what they're doing neurologically is they're overwhelming you with knowledge and concepts without any way you feel trapped by that information. They literally trap you with knowledge. And then at the end of those webinars, they say, buy into this course.
right,
And what happens in the brain is you're pushed into a fight or flight response. Your
right,
cortisol skyrockets. And what you do is you have to make a decision to buy. Oftentimes it's a deal, right? Or to completely turn off and you're like, nope, I'm not going to do this. So you polarize. If you're a course creator, you're polarizing your dream client, and you don't want that, right? You don't
right,
want to play with their chemicals in order for them to buy, because what that means is if they buy based off of the chemicals, the chemical situation that you create, then they're not necessarily going to finish that course.
right, right,
And that's the bottom line, right? Is that transformation. So you want people to purchase who are going to stick with you throughout the entire course, give you testimonials and rave about the course. So you're playing the long-term game.
right,
And if you're playing this, I'm giving you the what but not the how, you have to buy the how, then you're playing a short-term game.
right.
And we know that short-term games aren't good for business. We want to play the long term.
This is a very interesting perspective. Thank you for this, because I've been like thinking about this, and sometimes when you're desperate, um, when you've been stuck in a rut following all the right things, sometimes you tend to try some radical stuff, and probably that's where I was coming to you with this question.
Mhm.
Um, Nicole, my next question is gonna go away a little bit from. So far we've spoken about the content, the delivery, and we've also spoken about the launching and stuff like that. But another important piece in this whole puzzle is the software that is needed, right? The online infrastructure that is needed for course creators to successfully sell. How much, how important is that for somebody who's just starting off? Do people have to start off spending money on these platforms, or do you usually recommend free platforms for people who start off, even though they don't get their white label branding?
So, this has my opinion on this has changed over the years.
Okay.
I really thought in the beginning of my business, I was like, high quality platform all the way, invest. Um, but at this point in my business and working with so many people, so many course creators, I really think it's about what is the easiest way for your learners to access content and move through it
Right,
while still having support and accountability.
right,
And so that answer differs for everybody. I have clients who jump straight into investing into an LMS that's super high level and caters to all their business needs. And then I have some who are like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just need something super simple that I can navigate tech wise. Um, and then, of course, we take into account what does that look like for your learners. Um, and then we build around that. So it really depends on where you're at with your tech journey, with your business journey, and so choosing something that meets you where you're at. And it's why I'm not committed to one platform fits everyone, because it doesn't.
Got it. Got it. Okay, without getting into specific brands as such, there are like so many brands out there when it comes to LMSs and platforms where courses can be hosted and launched. Let's say you said roughly you've worked with, from what I gathered so far, majorly you've worked with business coaches, who help people with setting up businesses and stuff like that, and then probably health related fitness and alternative medicine and stuff like that. So, what modules of a learning management system, what are the different key important modules that make up a good learning management system for somebody who's going to start off?
So I think video is an obvious one.
Okay,
So it has to have video uploads,
right,
as well as text opportunities. So if you need to write out the lessons, clear
right,
attachments. So where you can upload PDFs, whether that's a workbook or the transcript. These are all very, very basic, as well as an easy to use interface, where it tracks where learners are in their learning process, and they can easily go back to it. I would also say that quizzes that give immediate feedback are really important. I've also found that it's hard for me to find a learning management platform that has built-in worksheets.
okay,
And that's something that I'm hoping comes into play in the next few years in learning management systems, because as of right now, all of my clients have to build PDF workbooks. And I think that's something to look out for if there's assignments that learners and course creators can have access to. So that's also an important element as well. Lastly, I want to say surveys. Um, the survey systems for a lot of LMSs are not where I would like them to be. So a lot of times I have to use Google Forms because I love how I can interact with the data and how my clients
right,
can interact with the data.
right.
So that's something to definitely take into consideration, as well as testimonials and referral systems. Because obviously that's what brings you more business. So ensuring that you have a way to gather that, whether that's through surveys or a built-in system.
Got it, Nicole. Just one question, just to clarify. When you said what you don't find in LMS is the module where you can create worksheets. So you mean to say at this point in time, you're creating your worksheets outside and then converting it to a PDF and then you're uploading it to the LMS, but you cannot directly go and type it out in the LMS. Is that what you meant? Just trying to
Yeah.
be specific here. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So like reflection sheets, ways where that you can upload a diagram or a table, and then learners can go in and they can draw or write. Um, these are
Right,
things that in the K-12 space exist,
right,
but they don't exist for course creators as of right now.
right. Got it. Um, So, Nicole, we're talking about, you basically are a consultant, who's helping course creators with a lot of things. Now, tell me how many times you've had to first convince them that they need you, or do you even talk to those people, or do you only talk to people who already know that they need somebody like you?
Oh, so funny. In the beginning of my business, I was definitely like, I need to convince everybody that
Right.
learning matters and that, impact is more important than income. Um, Therefore, they should hire me. And that didn't really work. It didn't work for my business. It didn't work for the people
Okay.
who are creating courses. Um, so now I'm just kind of like, I talk about what I do and you know, I ask questions about what their goals are as a course creator and if they're constantly coming back to increasing income and they never talk about ensuring client success and learner success, then I say I don't think it's a right fit, you know?
Right.
And that's okay because I would much rather tell them so that they can find somebody else who aligns with what they value and how they want to create a course so that I don't waste my time and they don't waste theirs.
Got it. So, um, you're saying, you're not reaching out to somebody's inbox offering the services that you provide, but you're just putting out your content there, and then if people relate to what you say and if they feel the need, if they see the value in what you provide, they automatically come to you and then you take it from there. Am I right?
Well, I think so. If we're talking about marketing, I was kind of taking from the viewpoint of they booked a discovery call, right? And I'm on the call with them, and
Got it.
this comes
Got
out.
it.
Then I'm going to, I'm going to say no. But if we're talking from the marketing point, not from
Got
the
it.
sales point, that's very different. I think if I'm seeing somebody who's creating content that I think is heart centered and you can tell that they care, then yes, of course, like reach out. Um, I
Reach out.
think yeah, that can be really powerful. Like, hey, I see you have very you know you have in depth content and it really resonates. I'm a course coach. Um, have you thought about building a course? I would love to have a chat and a strategy call if you're interested. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, and if they say no, then they say no. But, why not put yourself out there and, like I said, offer help?
Yeah. Yeah, don't assume that they're going to say no. Allow them to at least say no, rather.
Mhm.
um, and Nicole, we kind of expect a lot of our listeners to be course creators and coaches and people who are offering their expertise out there to people, but none of them most of them think that all they need is themselves and they just need one tool to create courses and that's about it. But if you have to kind of break it down, and from your experience, if you think they need a team, what does their team look like, including consultants?
To build a course.
Yeah, and not only to build a course, entire thing to to kind of run
Yeah.
it successfully. I think, yeah, launching it and then probably going on to build more and more courses and then kind of succeeding and going on to achieve nice things as a solopreneur.
Yeah. That's interesting. Like, I think that everybody's journey is different.
Right.
Um, and it depends how much you're grinding, like, and how effectively you're working and how much time you're putting in. So I think for a lot of my clients that have seen successful not only course results but also course launches, they have already built a community. They have usually have a virtual assistant. They've worked with video editors as well as copywriters before, but it might have been on a like contract basis.
Right.
So they've hired them before. And once they come to me as a course expert, I'm usually one of the first, second coaches that they've invested in their business.
Got it.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the team, what it looks like in the start. You don't need to have tons of people on staff. As long as you set aside time to create this course, and even a lot of my clients also hire launch experts after they've run through their beta. And I think that's great because then they've already made money. They have confidence in their course. They might even hire a business coach in lieu of a launch expert. And then they go from there. So it's about incremental and investing in what you need in the moment. And then you build your team. Once you've established consistent income, then you can build a solid team.
Got it, Nicole. Nicole, of all the people that you've worked with, what has your observation been about the most common mistakes that entrepreneurs or the solopreneurs that are into creating courses make when they start off? For the benefit of people who are tuning in, and they could probably save some time and effort.
So I think the number one hiccup or problem is stepping into the sage on a stage mindset. And what I mean by that is, for a lot of us, our education was based off of this idea of someone lecturing in the beginning, in the front of the classroom. And then you sit down, you shut up, you take notes. And
Right.
a lot of course creators emulate that. And they forget about the fact that they hated being lectured at, that they hated being told to sit down, shut up, and listen. And yet they have no other ways to create learning experiences.
Right.
And so if you're creating a course, and I think one of the most powerful things to do is to recall your favorite teachers. And more than likely, those teachers are going to be, and mentors, they're going to be the people that had conversations with you, that facilitated activities, that asked questions, that you felt empowered by, right? And then you look at, what did they actually do in their classroom? Because sure as anything, they are not going to be at the front of that classroom talking at you. And if you can keep those people in mind, then your course is way ahead of the game, because that's what majority of courses out on the market are, the sage on stage format. And if you can start moving toward something that I call a guide on the side, then you're going to be off to a really good start.
Great. So you said, what's the mistake that they could be making, and you said the exact same mistake, the exact same thing that as students, what you didn't like is exactly what you're going to be making as a teacher. But to come out of that mistake, you said something like bite in the side. Am I correct?
Guide.
Is that what you meant?
Guide on the
bite
side.
in the side.
Yeah, like a
guide on the side. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we break it down a little bit? If you can share one or two actionable pointers as to what exactly that looks like, as compared to being on the stage giving out that boring lectures like how we were used to receiving them.
Yeah. So a guide on the side, I like to think about a mountain guide. Okay. And if you've ever been hiking or on a mountain, even if you've been on a tour, right? In a city, what those guides are going to do is they're going to give you information, right? And then they're going to stop after a little while. Okay. And they're
Mm.
going to ensure that you're okay, that you understand what they said, that you feel empowered to continue going, to continue moving up on that mountain.
Right.
And that's exactly what a great teacher does, is they give you information, they teach you information, and
Right.
then they pause and they facilitate application so that you're actually using it. It's
Right.
useful in solving your problem and improving your life or your business. Whereas in the lecture format, the sage on a stage, all they're doing is throwing information at you. But
Right.
there's only so much information that the brain can take in without getting rid of it, right? In
Right.
fact,
Right.
our brains start to shut down after 15 minutes of trying to absorb new information. So if you have a teacher who's lecturing at you for an hour, you're gonna have a sixth of that. You're gonna remember a sixth, or I'm sorry, a fourth of that. Gotta do quick math. If that. Whereas a guide on a side, you're going to remember majority of what they teach you because you know how to use it.
Got it. Got it. So okay. Now it is two different things, right? When it comes to, let's say you do the same thing, you be a guide on the side in a real time classroom atmosphere. It's a different thing. But then when you're trying to replicate this online, I think that's when things like creating a 5-minute bite-sized video comes, followed by probably a worksheet or a problem that is linked to the topic that you just taught. I think this is where uh, earlier when you mentioned the important modules that are needed in a platform, you said the quizzes and the worksheets and all these things. So the course flow is going to be an alternating thing between, a lecture followed by a quiz followed by a worksheet and stuff like that. So is this what would be close to an ideal course delivery look like, Nicole?
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I would. This is how I guide my clients in structuring their courses. Um, but there's one element that comes before instruction that is that skyrockets memory and retention, and that's a
Okay.
warm up. And
Okay.
a warm up question or activity is exactly what it says. It's you're connecting to prior knowledge, experiences. Um, and when you do that, you get those neural pathways firing, and you do it in a strategic way so that once those neural
Right.
pathways are firing, you teach the new information, and that new information will create connected neurological pathways to what you brought up in the warm up question. Um, and then from there, obviously you teach, and then the activity, and then you do a quick assessment to ensure that the teaching, that you taught the content well. And if you didn't, then maybe you need to improve that lesson and teach it better.
Got it. Nicole, moving on to some of the um, operational things that one has to encounter. Let's say, for example, um, you know, when it comes to accessing courses, people buy course and they might share it amongst all of their friends. And as a course creator, it's very important for you that each one of them buy it, so that it's a business at the end of the day for you. So I'm sure there are a lot of solutions for these problems on the platforms, but may not be on the basic ones, right? So do people even have to worry about it, or take it in their stride, taking it as any publicity is better publicity? Okay, at least I know that people are looking at my content, and it's kind of a validation.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know, from my perspective in the education world. Um, I mean, I would like to say the educator in me is like knowledge is free, but you can't build a business on that, right? And you can't
Right,
run your life as a course
right,
creator.
right,
So I think what's important is expectations. And we talk about this in the education sense, but I think it's also really important when it comes to your business. And you need to set the expectations. Just tell people, like, I have worked this hard. I've worked incredibly long hours. I have put my heart and soul into this. And this is my baby. This is my work. And I would really appreciate it if you want to give people access to the content, please sign up as an affiliate, right? And send them
right,
your affiliate link so you can get a cash kickback, right? Or maybe like you offer something else to sweeten the deal, like a 30-minute one-on-one session or something. But just being honest with people. And generally speaking, if your dream client cares about you and your business because you've invested in them, you've created that relationship, they're not going to just randomly give out your content. They're going to be like, "Oh, I want to support this business." It's the same thing that I do with music. Like if I support an artist in who they are and their music, I am going to go buy their music, right? If I don't, then I'm not
right.
going to buy it. And I'm not going to rip it off and take it from someone else. That's what I value, right? I realize not everybody is like that, but
Yeah.
I want to honor human beings, right? And sometimes you just need to remind people that that this is probably how it should go.
Very simple and a straightforward approach, but could turn out to be a very effective one. Nothing like appealing to people's um, sensitivities, if I can say that. Like truly putting yourself out there, saying, this is how much it means to me. So if you really want to do something, despite that, if they do it, okay, you do whatever is in your control, sort of a thing. Um, got it. Nicole, here's my next question with a big if. If for all you think there are certain trends that are developing, do you think first of all there are trends developing? If you do think, what are those trends that the online course creators kind of have to be aware of, say in the next 12 months or so?
Oh, geez. So I think that the course industry is absolutely booming. Um,
Okay,
so I think it's being aware that if you do want to create a course, that you are probably going to be a small fish in a very, very big pond. But
right.
that's okay if you build your community and know who you can reach. Um, and I think that's really important for newbie course creators, or even people who've created courses and don't have a large community. Um, as far as other trends, I'm trying to think of
Like say for example, the content delivery, not in terms of the structure or whatever we discussed earlier, but say um, a whiteboard animation video. I'm just saying for an example now, especially given the introduction of AI voices, and there are AI video creating tools and stuff like that, right? You can just input some text and there's this platform that can assemble pictures for you and create a video out of it, those sort of things.
okay. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. So a few things that I've seen is learning management platforms, if they haven't already had a community section, or even if they have,
Hmm,
they're updating it and they're making them more robust. So they're adding
right,
a lot more features within their community. I've also seen an uptick
right,
in memberships. So A lot of LMSs are adding that on top of it, which is wonderful for community building because whether that's prior to having and launching a course or after launching a course, providing that support for your community. So I think those are things to really utilize in learning management platforms. I would also say, so AI has actually been huge in my business and is a wonderful tool to help declutter your brain. So a lot of the course creators that I work with are overwhelmed with ideas and they don't know where to start. And AI is an incredible tool to help you determine where to start, what people are looking for, what questions people are asking.
Right.
And to have that conversation with an AI bot that that is aggregating all this data is just unprecedented. So
Yeah.
use that to create your freebies, to write blog articles, to push out content, even to develop masterclasses where you can lead into your course that you're launching. That can be an incredibly powerful tool.
Got it, Nicole. Nicole, from what you said, a couple of things that I'd like to touch upon. The first one is this, right? You spoke about masterclasses a number of times in this conversation. And then, from what I understand, you look at masterclass as a starting point for somebody to come and join your course. Can you walk through this concept of masterclass and how, as a tool, masterclasses can be used for people to get new students?
Yeah. So a masterclass is a education experience hosted by a master of their craft. And the students who step into that masterclass, whether it's for free or they're paying, are going to be high, I don't want to say high caliber, that's not the right word, but they are really focused on whatever the masterclass is offering. So
Right.
it's not just a willy-nilly thing that they're like, yeah, I'll attend this webinar. It's serious business, if you will. And
Right.
and I would categorize a masterclass as about 90 minutes long. Some people will say that it's longer. I would say if it's
Okay.
longer, then I would call that a mini course, and it needs to be broken up. But a masterclass is really to help people learn something new and master a skill, very, very small skill, because there's only so much that you can do in 90 minutes. And then
Right.
the idea is, if we're thinking about education progression, is that they've experienced this small learning experience with you and they've achieved results and therefore they want more, right? They know that what you provide works, so they're going to invest in your services more, whether that means buying your course, buying a mini course, a boot camp, your one-to-one services. The idea is the proof is in the pudding, and a masterclass is a group setting that will get them there. So, and I feel like I should mention that a lot of times for my clients, I recommend that they have a 3-part education progression, because some people are not necessarily ready to invest at a high ticket price to buy a course or your one-to-one services. So before a masterclass, you should have a freebie available. You should have something that's high value that they can exchange their email for. And then you also should have something that they invest low to mid ticket. So they understand, like, okay, this person is, I'm willing to pay for what they're teaching. And that warms them up to the idea, oh, I'm willing to pay for a transformational course.
Great. Got it. And another thing that I was wanting to touch upon was the community part you were talking about, which is very important to be a part of the learning management system. Now, one is, of course, having the structure for community and then, even people being a part of it the moment they buy your course and stuff like that. But how do you keep the community like thriving every single day, and how do you not let it go to sleep over a period of a few days?
Yeah, I think one of my former clients is a Forex expert and trader. Um, and he has a course on teaching people how to trade currencies and Forex. So what he does is
Sorry, Nicole, I lost you a little bit. How to?
he teaches people how to navigate Forex so that they can earn money.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Yeah. Okay.
So, and for people who don't know what Forex is, that's foreign exchange. So, exchanging currencies. So, what he does on his Slack channel is he has an overall board and then he has subtopics. And he is in there at the beginning when he launched his course. He was in that Slack channel every single day, posting what he was doing with his trades for Forex.
Right.
He was also commenting and responding to questions.
Right.
Um, and then on the sub threads, he was engaging in that way as well. So he had a plan. He knew what he was going to post every single day, and he was ensuring that he was responding to everybody within each of those feeds. Now
Right.
that's a little intense, but it's going to get you results because people are going to notice that you're there.
Right.
One of my other clients, what she does is every Thursday, she shows up and she answers questions and responds to comments. She
Got
also
it.
does another day of the week where she does a Q&A, but asks for big questions about the module that they're going over that week. And then she records a video giving direct answers. Or if she doesn't need the video, then she'll just type it into the community. So I think
Right.
the most important thing about keeping communities going is to demonstrate, to act as the example, and people will follow suit.
Got it. You got to put yourself out there. Treat it like another Instagram page of yours and be active as much as you are on your social media handles. Probably. Nicole, this is probably my last set of questions. I'm not sure how much I do have in this set, but I can sense that this is going to be because a lot of things that we've covered. But this is one thing that I'd like to ask, right? Now, what I gather from what you've spoken so far is most of your clients are focused, they are experts in one topic and they are actually sharing knowledge. Now, have you had clients, where they've seen the course creation industry as a business and, they've wanted to kind of, in a small way, assemble experts, create courses through them, and then kind of create a marketplace sorts, or a client, who's a jack of all trades trying to create courses in different domains. So, have you come across these types of creators as well?
I have, but I haven't worked directly with them.
Right,
Um, I have worked with online schools, and those are a little bit different because they have a niche. Um, so I was a part of founding a life coaching school
right.
online, and
Mm-hmm.
that you know we will be adding more courses to help our coaches, but that's still very specific topic area. And with that being said, those those people who are creating schools oftentimes need the structure uh, to give those people who are coming in and hosting courses, masterclass, what have you. Um,
Right,
they need that learning structure to be the same so that it's consistent for their learners So I have worked on those learning structures before, because they have to be super broad. But that's definitely not my specialty and not my bread and butter.
Yeah, got it. I thought so too,
Yeah.
because yeah, that's a whole different thing. And one other question, Nicole, you spoke about one of the important things that are needed as part of an LMS from a course creation point of view, or a course building point of view. But from a business operation point of view, what are the things that you need? Are very important. What are the deal breakers for you? Let's not go to the luxuries of it, but let's talk about deal breakers at least.
Yeah. So if an LMS doesn't have an easily navigation, if you can't easily navigate,
Navigatable.
yeah, easily navigatable landing pages, if
Right.
you can't create those easily, then that's a no. Um,
Okay.
if the login portal and the payment portals are hard to navigate, um, that's a major no. Those are vital for your business. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, for the course creation, selling of courses. Um, I would also say that testimonial systems, or at least an integration, is an absolute must. If you don't
Right.
have it, how
Right.
how are you going to do that? You're going to have to do it all manually, um, as well as referral systems. So affiliate links and affiliate codes are incredibly important, as well
Right.
as um, coupon codes could also be considered important, as well as bundles, um, because those are all really, really powerful.
Right.
Um, I think a secondary might be like a funnel system. If you can't figure out how to create a funnel on an LMS,
Right.
then that could be problematic, because then you're losing out on people that you could help impact, and that you could sell other products to.
Got it, Nicole. Nicole, in the starting, in the very start, you spoke about one of the most important things for course creators is to figure out what do their learners look like, as much visualization as possible. Um, I mean, if not a deep dive, do you have a bare structure of, okay, you know what, these kind of learners fall into one category? And, do you have at least 3 to 4 types of learners? Or is that what you meant? Or, what you meant was something different?
So I think that there's a difference between um, like your ideal client avatar, what I
Right,
call your dream client,
right.
and how they learn, right? Because they're more than just how they learn. That informs how you're going to teach them. So if we're talking about learning styles, then there's four: visual, auditory,
Yeah,
kinesthetic, and reading and writing.
yeah,
So you have to know that about your learners. But you also need to know a variety of other things, like their demographics. So this is the simple stuff that a lot of marketing experts bring up, right? So what's their job? What's their age? What's their gender? Where do they live? Blah blah blah, right? What I like to talk more about is, how do they move through their day?
right,
What are they worried about?
right.
How much time do they have? How much money are they willing to invest in themselves? Or how much money are they willing to invest in other people?
Yeah,
Right? Same thing with time. What are their deepest desires? Like, what does their dream life look like? And what does their actual day look like from start to finish?
right,
And so this is something that I walk my clients through, and I this is not my point of expertise, but this is just everything that I've gathered from all the business and marketing experts and storytelling experts that I've worked with. Um, because the story of someone's life is more important than anything else. We run on stories, And if we understand our dream client story, then we understand how we can reach them better and how we can get them results.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to come back to that point just to chat with you a little bit about that. But before I go there, I just have a couple more questions about this learner type of thing itself. Now, you said, from a consumer point of view, from a consumption point of view, there is, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and then reading and writing. Now, let's say, has there been a situation, Nicole, because for every course, there are going to exist learners that belong to all of these types. Has there been a client of yours yet, or have you thought about this? Just one course, but then create it for people who are more inclined towards visual learning, and then the same content created for people specifically who are more inclined towards auditory, and the other two things. Has this ever been a part of something that you've done?
So I would never recommend that you create different courses for different types of learners, because that is so much effort on
Wow.
the
Okay.
course creator's end. But what I do recommend
Right.
is that you ensure your course caters to all types of learners, and especially
Okay.
to your dream clients, because sometimes you could think that your dream clients are all visual learners, but that doesn't mean that they're not also reading and writing learners as well as a
Right.
secondary,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you want
Right.
to be well rounded, and there's really easy strategies that you can use to cater to majority visual, auditory, and reading and writing learners. Kinesthetic learners, it's a little bit more difficult, and requires an additional strategy, but it's completely possible to cater to them as well.
Got it, Nicole. And one final question in this part, right? When you spoke about types of learners, of course, from a business point of view, you figure out. But then, have you had an opportunity, or have you found yourself working where you've had to cater to special needs learners? People with different way of listening capabilities, or some special needs learners is what I mean to say, who are specially abled, if I can say that.
Yeah.
People having problems with attention.
Yeah, definitely. I think um okay, so I'll set attention to the side, and because we can talk about
Okay.
that afterwards. But um when it
Okay.
comes to other types uh of learners, when it comes to auditory abilities, visual abilities, um I think it's really important that, once again, you know your clientele and you cater to them. I try to encourage all of my clients, if they can, to provide transcripts for um,
Mhm.
their video
Right.
lessons. That should be pretty
Got it.
standard practice. Um,
Okay.
and if someone is visually impaired, then it's pretty easy for them to take that transcript and then to have it printed out and transcribed into Braille. Um,
Right.
that covers auditory and visual, um, and so that's an easy access point.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
When it comes to attention, I think so many of us in this modern world are suffering from being unable to focus our attention on something for long periods of time.
Yeah.
Now, we know from clinical studies, from medical studies, that after 15 to 20 minutes, our brains start to shut down. And I said this before, but I will say it again. So, everyone out there who's listening to this, if you've been learning for more than 15 minutes, go take a break. Um, so, um, yeah, so I think making our lessons shorter, more concise, and getting people to get up and do something, um, and use that information, that's incredibly important. And if you can do that, then I think you're not just catering to your learners who have ADD and ADHD, but you're just catering to generations of people who have been conditioned to not sit down and focus. And you're not going to change somebody and by, creating an entertaining 25-minute video, um, that's not going to help their brain. You're not going to change their habits, but you can help change whatever your transformation is that you promise. It might be habits, but you still wouldn't record a 25-minute video, right? You'd probably be more create more of an impact with a 5 to 15-minute video.
Got it. And last question. This is I was fascinated about the point where you spoke about how you picked up things from all the course creators that you worked with. One of the key advantages that you have, I think, doing what you do is learn a lot of things, a lot of special things from all of these course creators firsthand. For example, the business coaches that you work with, you get to learn so much about, how the business works and stuff like that. And one of the most interesting things that you spoke about is the storytelling aspect, how if you can create a story about your customer, and then, that's one thing. So how is this experience of yours been like? Does it get too overwhelming sometimes, or do you have FOMO sometimes? Do you secretly make notes and stuff?
Oh my gosh. It's hard when I'm in the moment. It's hard to step out of my teaching shoes and step into my learning shoes. Or I'm coaching, I'm consulting. It's a hybrid of the two. So I don't necessarily, I pick up bits and pieces, and I take what resonates with me. But it's very rare that I actually go back to the finished course and rewatch it like a learner. Although I have access to all of it. It's just like things just stick with me. But I love that. Like I am a lifelong learner. I'm a Gemini, if you know what that means. Like I'm a communicator. Like I just love just absorbing as much information as possible. So
I'm a Gemini too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. This is why we're chatting. Podcasts are perfect for Geminis, right? But yeah, I pick up what I can, and sometimes I go back to the content and I'm like, I know that Emily said something about this, and I'm going to go search for this lesson because I think it's really powerful.
Yeah.
And then oftentimes I'll I might post it on social media and tag my client and be like, her course is so amazing, right? Right. So it's a full loop. I take advantage of it, but not to the fullest extent that I probably could.
I think that was my last question, Nicole. Should be fascinating doing what you do. I can totally feel the excitement, being here because, just having to interact with all the experts, because that's something that you feel secondhand when you read books, right? Just imagine talking to the authors themselves instead of reading some of the books that they read. I think that's the experience that you must be getting. Thank you so much. Would like to hear what you felt about this podcast. We've never realized it's going to be like an hour and 45 minutes, but that's what it is. Are you tired? Did you lose attention at any point?
No. Actually, I was surprised. I was like, I don't know how many questions he can ask me, but we'll see if we can get to the 90-minute mark. And you did. We got past that. So
yeah.
Thank you for asking great questions. I didn't know what to expect coming into today. So it's been a great conversation. Thank you.
Likewise, Nicole, thank you so much for taking time out. And then, wanting to be a part of this conversation. It was great conversing with you. A lot of insights. It's been I think probably the first time that I've spoken to somebody who's consulting with course creators. I've only been talking to subject matter experts, been trying to understand the problems that they undergo. And probably some of the questions that I asked you comes from all those conversations. Most of them have problems about marketing and sales. Content creation is never a problem because they're all experts doing what they do, but everything that surrounds it is always a problem. And I don't know. You might have people knocking at you, asking, "Hey, you know what? I totally need whatever you're doing." Um, let's see how that goes. And yeah, thank you so much. And